Thanks so much for joining. I am delighted to welcome a couple of new interviewees for Grey Horror. Today I am welcoming writer-director David Hinds and producer Todd Franklin, whose recent folk horror British feature, Black Goat, was released recently on Amazon Prime, and I had the joy of reviewing the feature. So welcome, Todd and David. How are you both?
Yes,
Good,
very well,
thank you.
thanks. Yeah, thanks for having us.
No,
Our
thank you.
pleasure.
No, it's a joy to actually take the time to speak to filmmakers and kind of get a real grasp for what they've created. So obviously Black Goat, as I mentioned before, is a UK super independent feature. For those who haven't yet had a chance to check it out, do you want to tell us a bit more about it?
David, I think
Y-
you're probably best for this.
yeah. It's so Black Goat is an independent folk horror film specifically, and it was put together by myself and Todd. Chiefly, we co-produced the movie. Um, we wanted to put something together as cost effectively as we could with no money at all, really. So this came from real small kind of bare bones uh, uh, project work. So I met Todd initially shooting music videos. So that's where we first met, and we talked about potentially doing a feature, but obviously financing and funding's always a bit of an issue. So yeah, we came up with the idea of doing something quite small and localized. So the folk horror seemed to fit quite nicely with that. As a concept, in terms of using a lot of local rural locations.
Mm.
But yeah, Black Goat is very much in the vein of The Wicker Man and Robert Eggers' The Witch, more like that kind of folk horror kind of vibe. So really wanted to create a universe being Blackwood Falls, where all these bad things happen over a long period of time through this town's history, and there's all sorts of folklore built into it. So in the writing phase, I kind of tried to construct a world that was more than just the film itself. The film explores one of the many stories within this crazy town kind of thing. So yeah, we came up with this concept of a demonic goat man and a strange cult, and the idea actually came from a nightmare, which sounds really corny, but yeah, I had
Best ideas really do
yeah,
come from up
yeah,
here.
yeah. So I was
Otherwise.
listening to a really creepy piece of music by a really unknown electronic industrial project called Black Mountain Transmitter, I think they're called.
Okay.
And I fell asleep listening to this piece of music, and I had this nightmare where I was lost in the woods and I got levitated in the air, and then this strange creature was doing it, and it made me crash to the floor, which we put into the movie. We wrote that into
Just
the
say
movie.
that's your cold open right there.
Yes, yeah.
Not to spoil it, but that is a wonderful cold open.
Yeah.
So that was the way the genesis of it came from, and the script came together quite quick, actually, the quickest I've probably ever worked on the script already. It just felt really natural, the way it flowed, the way it came together. I think within probably about 4 to 6 weeks of having the final draft, we were in the woods
Oh
shooting
Yeah.
wow!
It was
in the middle
December,
of
wasn't it?
winter. Yeah,
'Yeah,
2024.
wow, that's
yeah,
crazy.
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, you gave me a call and you were like, I've got an idea for a film. Are you up for it? And I was like, yeah, because this is my debut as a, I guess, producer and cinematographer for a feature, really. So David basically said, how do you fancy shooting? I was like, yeah, let's do it. And literally in January, in the cold of winter, we started, and it went from there.
Fantastic. So obviously you filmed it quite local to where I am here in the West Midlands. How was it? Was it all in one locale? Did you find like a specific spot, or were
Mhm.
you kind of traipsing on lots of recce's to find the right place?
It was a real adventure, to be honest. It's all very local. So a lot of it's filmed in the Scarcliffe area, which is just slightly further north from where I'm based, literally miles away. It's not far. Um, and yeah, most of it's there. We did some stuff around the Plesley area, so it's all like Mansfield, Nottinghamshire area, really. Trying to think if there's anywhere. I suppose the only location that was a bit more unusual that was not in this area was the Blackout Studio stuff, which we did at Blood Brothers Studios.
Yeah, just on the outskirts of Nottingham. Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
Fantastic.
Yeah, but the rest of it's all local woodland on my doorstep kind of thing. So a lot of the little ideas in the film kind of came from a lot of local folklore as well. So, or stories that my dad told me when I was a kid that used to creep me out. So I kind of embellished those and built them into the story. So yeah, they're very much based around real places that have got something, for the most part, attached to them that's either local folklore or something spooky that happened when I was a kid there or something kind of thing.
And that kind of leans, I think, how the production, everything came together so quickly. You already had the foundations there, and it just took that triggering kind of nightmare to go, that's your catalyst, that's your film, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, all the folklore for the place fell together quite naturally and quite quickly. And the journey with the two brothers kind of, I think, whilst it wasn't a conscious thing, looking back at it, I think one of the influences really for the relationship of the two brothers, probably the film Phantasm, and the way the brothers are in Phantasm and that close relationship they have. I think when I look back at it now, I think there's a lot of similarities between those journeys. But it's a lot of it, certainly location wise, was kind of rooted in places that I'd already been.
Yeah, where you walk the dogs.
Yeah.
Like, I know that tree. That looks very familiar. But it was like you were saying about the reference of phantasm as well. My words today. I'm going to edit that out. I can't even speak. That's so bad. But the reference you just made there as well was quite nice to see in a horror feature, to have siblings that have a closer relationship. 9 times out of 10 when I'm watching features, I often find that there's always some kind of there's something there where they're butting heads, not to make a goat reference, but they literally, there's always a bone of contention, there's always something wrong. And it was really refreshing to see a sibling relationship where it felt natural in the positive light as opposed to a negative.
I didn't want to. You're right, because I see the same things, and it feels like a lot of very contemporary stuff is based on those kind of relationship dynamics, whether it's brothers or not, or is a lot of contemporary stuff seems to be based around grief. That seems to be a recurring theme as well, and I kind of wanted to avoid that with these characters and bring a little bit more joy to it. So it starts where there is some friction because they probably don't speak as much as they would like to, but then the relationship quickly warms, and it warms as the movie goes on. So yeah, I'm glad that comes through actually, because we really wanted the warmth with the characters to grow as the film becomes more deranged.
And was there any other kind of inspiration you brought to the piece, or perhaps anyone in the crew? Because I've spoken to independent filmmakers before where they've brought a member on who perhaps was really like a makeup artist or something, and they may have brought a really cool idea to production that somebody wouldn't have thought about that actually made it to the final cut. So did you have any of those kind of experiences, or anyone on staff who kind of helped with that?
It's difficult because I guess we had loads of people. I can't think of anything specifically, but the kind of crew that we worked with, the people that I've worked with quite a lot, handpicked, and everyone. Me and David are quite relaxed in our approach, and accepts there's no real hierarchy as such, and people can just offer up any creative idea. If we're struggling with something or we're doing something on the fly, there was a couple of times where people had come up with a suggestion that was like, oh, okay, yeah, let's just go with that actually, and it kind of works quite nicely. But we had some amazing people. Jane Hyman as the special effects artist was just incredible, and she brought a lot to the table, didn't she, David?
Yeah, she helped shape some of those crazy practical effect sequences that we had, because there was originally we had a lot more crazy effects in there, but it was purely around the financial reasons that we had to be very selective about where we put the money into which set piece, basically. So the opening set piece, which is we thought we've got to get that right. Your opening showstoppers got to be right. So, but we had exploding eyeballs and all sorts of stuff written in it that we ended up taking out because the money wasn't there. But so Jane definitely helped shape how we did that, and also was really instrumental in how we shot that. So when I took the storyboards to her to say, can you build me a prop where trees go through somebody's chest and come out the back, she was like, okay, what angle are you shooting from, where we're hiding the apparatus? And so she did inform that stuff for sure. And I think the other person that probably brought an incredible amount to it was probably Ben, who played the lead role and did the music. Because Ben and Darren, Randall, actually, who plays his brother, because those guys rehearsed so much together for that part. And they were constantly coming back to me saying, this line feels weird. Like, just when you say it, it feels weird. We want to do it like this. Can we change this or maybe reference this? Because it harkens back to something earlier. And I think I accepted pretty much most of their suggestions on that, because it really seemed to build the characters. So I think they were probably the most influential in shaping the characters, the lead characters, because they kind of exaggerated a version of themselves, but then really made that character feel real as well, I think. And they were quite instrumental to that.
That's really wonderful to hear as well, because I believe this is possibly Ben's first feature. Is that right? Leading role, anyway.
Yeah,
he was really great.
Awesome.
Yeah, he's. I always had this feeling that he'd be good in, because he's got a strong personality. Like, he's not like crazy out there kind of thing, but he's very likable and he's very warm. And I thought, his background really is music, and he plays live a lot, or has done in the past, and that's really his background. I thought, well, if you can get in front of an audience and play, hopefully you can step in front of the camera and maybe do this. So I teased the idea with him, and he was like, yeah, I'm up for trying it. And me and Todd gave him a rehearsal test, and that felt good. It felt natural. But then when he came to do it on the day, he absolutely knocked it out of the park. And the first thing we did with him was like a 7-page dialogue scene, and he just got it all, everything on beat. And like, him and Darren, I mean, they made it so much easier, because when I've had really long dialogue pieces in previous movies and I've worked with non-professional actors, it's been a case of, let's get these 3 lines right, and then we're making an edit anyway, so then we'll be able to do the next. With this, they were just straight through, 7-minute take. Like, it was,
makes it so much easier, and it flows a lot nicer, doesn't it? It's natural flow to the piece as well. Yeah, wonderful. And you mentioned about, obviously, the practical effects that were taken out. I had to bite my tongue from literally jumping in there, because I am a practical effects fiend. I do love my gore, hands up. And the practical effects that made the cut, obviously you had the cold open, which was great. There is a sacrifice scene, without giving too much away, which I really didn't expect, given, like, almost by the time we'd reached that point in the feature, I hadn't forgotten about the open, but I'd forgot about the visceral nature of the open. And then when that hits, it really hits like a tour de force. Like, you don't see it coming. How was that to put together as a set piece? Because, well, not to spoil it, because it is truly like jaw-dropping, but it's quite impactful, because it's quite a different pace. And then all of a sudden you've got practical effects and gore aplenty.
It was a tough shoot day. That was actually our biggest shoot date throughout the whole film. Actually, we had I think it was 30 cast and crew members, and we'd got a generator to be able to power lights, and that wasn't working, so we were delayed on time because of that. Then someone had with them a kind of leisure camping battery with them, so we basically had to run all of our lighting off that at a reduced power, turning them off and on, and conserving energy. But I think we were about 2 hours behind, weren't we, David, or something, by the time we'd actually started rolling.
Absolutely crazy shoot that was. It stands out for me as probably the best shoot I've ever done. But it came with challenges, but I think we overcame them. And I love the way that scene looks, and the lighting of it, and the way that Todd captured all that. And that was a crazy day. I think me and Todd spent about 6 hours just setting things up for it. We got there before everybody else, and then the shoot itself went on way into the early hours of the morning. And we're out in the middle of nowhere. We hired this campsite that's in the middle of these woods that I don't think anybody's ever used it for a decade. So it's all overgrown, and it was perfect for us.
Yeah, that's what you want.
That scene was something else. But we really wanted to make, because obviously there is nudity in that scene as well, and we really wanted to make sure that the actress that was going to be performing that was comfortable as well. So she had her own tent so she could stay warm and stay like have a space to go, and she was supported by her partner who kind of chaperoned her through the shoot, but trying to keep her warm was one of the big challenges. So we were,
it was freezing.
Yeah, it was so cold. It was like
can't imagine.
-2 kind of cold, wasn't it? It was so cold. So
she was a trooper.
Yeah, she was fantastic. Nicola wasn't. So yeah, as soon as the camera cut, we're like people coming with coats and just like get warm,
layering her up.
Yeah. It's like that scene at the end of a marathon. Everyone comes with a foil blanket.
That's it. Yeah.
Warm.
Everyone, the cast and crew were great on that and very supportive. Our first AD, Kieran, he kind of was instrumental in getting the timings right and making sure he was kind of hiding how behind we were, which was actually quite helpful because it put us at ease, and we were already feeling the pressure, and he kind of just took that away, and we just kind of caught up on ourselves to a degree, and everyone was in high spirits and just getting on with it really, and it just made it so much easier.
Fantastic, great.
Yeah,
and how long was the shoot overall, do you think, from start of production to final wrap?
26 or 28 days, David, I think?
Somewhere between there. I forget the exact number. I think 26 sounds about right. Definitely no more than 30. But we started literally dead of winter, like December, and then we shot principal photography up till about April. But they were days just spread out because it was very much based on people were giving their time for free to make this film, so we were trying to build it around people's annual leave with their day jobs and other commitments. So it was like trying to get a shoot in a week kind of thing to keep it rolling. So yeah, I think principal photography probably wrapped about April time, maybe May for a couple of the pond scenes where the pond's not looking so desolate and it's like the dream scenes where it's a bit more lush and it's green. And then the blackout studio, I think we did in the summer, didn't we?
Yeah.
Like later on, but for the most, certainly no more than 30. 26 sounds about right to me.
Yeah, it did take a long time, like because we'd finished kind of principal photography, and there was just lots of little pickups we needed to do, things to add in, just to kind of make things make sense. And saying about that big shoot day, we had 30 people on board. Some days it was just me, David, and Ben, and we were just going through the woods, and just it was real stripped down and just really basics, and just trying to capture what we could. So
me, you and Ben in the rain mostly, trying to keep the kit dry and trying because that was the other thing. Weather was like, I've actually written into the scripts, we did talk about this, saying that our weather's so changeable, obviously, and particularly in the Midlands is about as changeable as it gets. Maybe not as much the way you are, Todd, in Wales. It rains every day at some point in Wales.
We had hail into bright sunshine into hail again in the space of 30 minutes. It was like being on the med about the warmth. So I hear you.
We've anticipated that. We're thinking, well, we're building this world where there's this town that's got this rich, if not dreadful, history of things that occur maybe in a cycle, like every 30 years something bad happens, a bit like the Wisconsin death trip kind of thing, where something bad happens periodically. And I thought, well, maybe it's got its own kind of microclimate, and maybe we build that into it. So there's a couple of references in there about the weather, and it's supposed to stay dry, but then it's raining, and it's
snowy.
Yes, yeah. So we kind of built that into the world, really, because we knew we'd definitely run into some changeability with
incremental weather, shall we say? Great. And so how did the post-production and everything go for this feature? How long did that process take? Did you have
long time, loads of challenges? So David was editing, I was color grading, Ben was doing the sound mix and the score and the Foley, and we also had a VFX team that was helping out with some VFX shots. So there was a lot of working parts to this, and there was numerous issues that we'd had, especially for me doing the color grade. I had issues with my monitor not calibrating properly, so when what I could see and sending it off to David was something completely different. So he'd be like, Todd, why does it look like this? He'd send me a shot, and I'm like, oh God, that shouldn't look like that. So there was a lot of faff around with that.
So there's a lot of rough cuts for like a special edition, is what I'm hearing.
Yes, hell of a lot.
Color grading. Okay, cool. Getting a second feature.
That blackout studio stuff for the Void space in the movie was just a nightmare to colour grade, wasn't it? I was quite naive with that because I thought, oh, this should be super straight. When we were shooting it, it's like we'd literally just spotlighting people. I thought, oh, we can just change the contrast and the brightness, and that's all we need to do. And then it came to the colour grading, it was a nightmare, wasn't it? It was so intricate trying to get that balance right, where you're like losing too much and then showing too much. And that was...
It was tough because there was stuff already, it wasn't completely blacked out, so we could still see stuff in the studio where there was like a scaffolding pole, a bit of shine here or a bit of shine on the floor, and we thought, okay, we'll just put a mask around that. And I've done colour grading before. I do a lot of corporate video and colour grade to a basic level, but I'd never done anything on this scale before. So there was a lot of YouTube videos, a lot of trying to work things out and chatting to other mates in the industry with trying to get some help on things. And in the end, we got there and it worked. Well, we think so anyway. So, but it was very challenging. More challenging than we thought it would be, that's for sure.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. And it was actually, weirdly enough, and more expensive than the shoot in some ways, wasn't it? Because we shot the movie, like all the principal photography was done for about $5,000, and most of that was practical effects, so not much at all. And then we spent about that much again in post, purely around visual effects. And whilst there's not a lot of visual effects in the movie, there was no other way for us to really create those handful of moments that probably add up to about 15 seconds for the whole movie. But they were big things that needed to happen in those 15 or so seconds. So that obviously came at a cost and a lot of labour time for the experts that were building that for us. It was post production was. It felt endless at one point, didn't it?
It did.
Just like,
we just wanted it done.
Yeah.
I never want to see a goat again. That's it.
Exactly. Yeah. We had so many drafts, didn't we?
Yeah, so many. It's interesting that you kind of joked about like different rough cuts as extras. We actually prepared 2 versions of the movie, so there is 2 versions actually. So the version that's available at the moment is the longer cut of the movie. We do have an alternative cut which we haven't released yet, and we're looking to secure hopefully a physical media deal maybe for the alternative cut, which is about 10 minutes shorter, so a little bit tighter, but the scenes are edited in a different order. So the beginning happens about an hour in, and it's a different opening, and it's got a bit of a different feel to it, and it's graded slightly differently in terms of not so much the colours but more the grain texture, so it's got more of a 16mm kind of vibe to it. So it's I don't want to use the term grindhouse because it's so overused and misappropriated so much, but it definitely has more of a late 70s early 80s kind of vibe to it. But that's one that we would like to try and push for a physical media release if possible somewhere.
That'd be a really cool release, I think, because there's quite a few features that are coming out with that kind of adaptive style. Like Dolly is a prime example, if you guys have seen that yet.
I've not seen it yet.
It's a very different style of film to Black Goat, but in terms of the grading and everything they've got that kind of almost like a Texas Chainsaw Massacre, like the film is kind of jumping and there's the little burns here and there, and there's the slight color tinge to it. It's got that real vibe, like you're watching something from a video nasty, but like you've just got your hands on the latest VHS from your friend kind of thing, and it's that vibe. And there's so many filmmakers that are trying to replicate that style, so it'd be really cool to see an alternative version with that kind of tinge to it, that kind of almost an homage, but that kind of vibe. It's kind of it's hitting a moment at the moment, as I would say.
I love that style, and I mean, the video nasty generation is. I say my generation. I was only like I was just born when that was actually happening in the early 80s, but that was my mission in the 90s as a teenager was I have to own all of them, and so
I'm the same era. I hear you. I remember the first time I got my hands on Cannibal Holocaust, and I was like, yes, the Mecca, and going to school and telling everyone about it, and I'm like, you weirdo. I was I'm
I
the
remember
only
hearing
one.
about that in school, and like people were saying, like, yeah, it's a real death snuff movie, and I was like, oh my God, this sounds terrifying. It wasn't until I was older, and it was actually David that lent me a copy of it, and I got to see it,
Yeah,
finally
what's seen
after.
cannot be unseen, as we
Yeah,
say.
Yes.
100%. But
Yeah.
what you
And
can't see
even
in David's in the back of his screen there, he's got thousands of horror DVDs. He's a huge collector, and from of every weird and wonderful thing you could ever think of.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. From the most obscure, like, camcorder movement stuff from Germany in the 90s through to,
okay,
the
proper
weirdest.
cinephile. All right,
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah,
yeah.
that's really
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Yeah. I
I
live for
definitely
it.
had a stint as well going through the Tartanasias when they were releasing on
Oh,
DVD.
they were
Just to get the
Yeah.
video,
That was
just to
like
get
another
the
world,
magazine
wasn't
as
it?
well, and the whole thing. And you'd be like,
Yeah.
the first time I got my hands on old vinyl edition in Itchy, I think Itchy was my first Tartanasia, and I was like obsessed. My
Yeah.
first foray into Japanese filmmaking. Wonderful.
Yeah, yeah, that's a bonkers movie, especially in its uncut form. That film's
Yeah.
outrageous.
I
Great fun.
know, I know. And then you see, God, have you seen the English dubbed version? We're going to
No,
pause here for a second. It's
I bet
insane.
that's so weird.
It's in the same special edition. I got a special edition because I had the original Tartanasia and then I went and bought the special edition that came
Oh,
with
so the
DVD.
one with the whitish cover, that one.
Yeah, the whitish cover that has a
Yes.
second disc which is
Yeah.
dubbed, and they could not have picked any more regional British accents. So we have a Scouse accent. There's a real Newcastle, like stronger than Alan Shearer Newcastle accent. We there's a really strong Irish accent, like
Oh,
Republic of
that's
Ireland,
surreal.
brutal, over the top
Wow.
of this off the wall Japanese slaughterhouse kind of film, and you're like, what is going on? It turns it into a comedy. It's really wet mild. If
I,
you get a
I,
chance, check it out because it's
I'm
really.
gonna, yeah, I'm definitely gonna check that out. That sounds absurd.
You need a couple
Yeah.
of tins to go with it, but
Yeah.
wild. Great. And so obviously you've got quite a good success on your hands with Black Goat. What's next on the horizon? Have you got any projects you can tell us about, or?
Yeah, we've got a few actually. But yeah, so we have a speaking of the retro kind of vibe, we've got a slasher film that we wanted that's written and ready to go. And the plan, if the money is there and we can get the financing for it, will ideally be to shoot on 16mm. If not, then we would like to aim to make it look like that in the grade, but certainly a lot of kind of neon and smoke and full 80s kind of style is what we want to go for. But it's kind of like a World War II themed slasher movie, but it's set in the present day, but it's got this theme about an evil soldier that comes back in like supernatural form and it kills a load of people. But it's the first half is very much kind of, it's fun. The first half's meant to be real fun, and then the carnage comes, and then it's seriously like messed up. But it's basically about two punk bands that, one punk band and one kind of like a black metal kind of band that come together in this recording space, and they don't get on. They're just falling out, and it's kind of like we've built it around a lot of humor, these characters and these extreme personalities that come together. But then this killer enters that and starts destroying all of them. So that's
Okay.
something that we're hoping to get off the ground this year. The working title is Night of the Long Knives, and that's what we're working on at the moment. But we also have, depending on how it's received, Black Goat 2 as well.
Oh, because you did say this is going to be effectively one story as part of a bigger universe. So are you
Yes,
imagining like multiple?
absolutely.
And is this going to follow on from the event of Black Goat, or are you thinking
Yeah.
shoot story?
So this will sound very presumptuous because we don't even know how well it's going to do. But I've actually got at least 5 movies planned.
Oh, okay, Stanley. All right.
So the second one does follow on a year after the first one. It picks up with Ben's character, and he's like a pariah in his community because people think he's killed his brother. And there's
some spoilers in here.
Yeah.
I mean, by now we've pushed to the point that we've reached this point in the conversation.
Yeah.
Back. Okay.
So that's where 2 would come in. 3 is actually to some degree more fleshed out than 2, and that's set in the early 90s, and it's a different bunch of characters, but set in Blackwood Falls. And then I really like the idea of having potentially, if we can get these made, people that are working with us on these potentially doing an anthology movie that pulls different stories from different timelines in this town, and like going back into the history of it. So I'm shooting something at the moment as well as like an adjacent kind of project that's set in this world, called the Somber Lane, which is like a supernatural thing as well. So yeah, we've got a few irons in the fire, so to speak. Me and Todd have got several other ideas on the boil as well. So we've got at least 4 or 5 things cooking at the moment. But
yeah, it's just funding is the only hurdle,
absolutely.
or the biggest hurdle, really. There's not short of ideas or motivation. It's just trying to get funding, and that's the biggest hurdle. So with Black Goat, we self-funded, so me and David put half the money in each for that. But each project's getting more and more ambitious.
Yeah,
and we want to make sure that everyone gets paid as best as we can as well. So that's kind of one of the main things, bringing people back from Black Goat and being able to pay them for their time and kind of pay that back.
Yeah, it'd be really nice to do kind of like the New Line Cinema and Nightmare on Elm Street kind of thing, where you build a franchise and take the people with you that started it and build. I'd love to be able to do that and make sure people get paid for what they're worth and what they're bringing to it. So we had so much dedication from our cast and crew that worked for free. They were. We couldn't have done it without them, and it's all there on the screen. They were incredible. So we would love to be able to take them on the journey if they want to go with us, obviously, as we go from film to film.
Well, you just promised five films, so I hope they're listening.
So yeah, plenty of irons in the fire. It's just getting, as Todd suggested, it's just finding somebody that may be interested in funding some of these projects, particularly Black Goat 2, because as you want to do with a sequel, you want to make it bigger and better. So Black Goat 2, it has some of the craziest set pieces that I've ever written. They're wild, they're out there. So it would take some money to be able to do that, and it's all very much based around practical effects and really crazy makeup designs. Because one thing that I would like to do with Black Goat 2, if we get the opportunity to do it, is really do more with the goat and make the goat more of like rather than a shrouded figure, make it more of a demonic entity and build an entire suit around it and a head that moves and can be a bit more, a lot more intricate really in what it can do, because we were very limited by that in the first film. So we tried to make it more of a spectre, so I'd love to be able to push that angle a bit more.
Yeah, because he worked really well for me as a kind of ominous figure. You knew he was there. You kind of felt the presence of that kind of figure throughout the feature, and he didn't really need to feature too much to get that sense of dread that kind of that overall visual provided, especially in that open, was like. I don't want to spoil it. I can't. This is my problem. Spoiler free, and I'm like, I want to tell the world. But you just have to watch it. Okay, great. And then, so in terms of obviously, you guys have come up and you're independent filmmakers and producers and things yourselves. Do you have any advice for anyone who may be watching who's thinking, oh, I've got this amazing project, I want to get into this, or I want to produce, I want to edit? Have you got any kind of tips or hints from anyone?
I guess just doing it is the most important thing. Like someone told me once, I had loads of ideas for kind of projects, but I was waiting until I was good to be able to actually put them into place. And he said, "You'll be waiting forever. You've got to make a film. It's probably going to be shit, and then understand why it's going to be bad, and then improve on that, and just get people around you. Work on. Unfortunately, in this industry, it's working for free a lot of the time." Just work on, any student films or join film groups in Nottingham and just get together with people and just get on set, learn the ropes, find out what department you want to go into. If you don't know that, go as a production assistant or a runner and just kind of see. You'll be working in, different departments. You might be making teas, you might be carting people around or whatever, but you get to see a bit of everything then. And then you can then meet people. I found all the work that's stemmed from my career, it started from short films, because it's people get to know you, and you could have a show reel and stuff, but and you probably don't have one when you're kind of starting out, but people buy into people rather than their expertise a lot of the time. So if you're, a easygoing person, willing to work and kind of passionate, that's what people will love, and they will help you kind of get in, and you'll network with the right people, and it will just keep snowballing from there, really.
Yeah, there's a much stronger scene than I anticipated until we made Black Oak, really, in the Nottingham area. And like I kind of felt like there was just me and a couple of other people that were making features in the area. Do you know what I mean? Because I was very disconnected from that world, and Todd kind of introduced me to a lot of people in that Nottingham scene. And the scene's huge. There's so many people, great, really good people in there that are really dedicated and wanting to make stuff. But yeah, I think Todd's right. Just do it. You've got to do it. I mean, that's it. This is the 5th feature that I've made, but this is the only feature that really feels like a feature to me, because the other ones that I made cost £200. You know what I mean? They got released, but they were so tiny, like the productions. But that was a case of, no one's going to pay me to make this. As it stands, I have no reputation. So if I want to make it, I've just got to do it. And you learn from that. And I've seen from each film, technically, I'm sure some viewers may say otherwise, but technically, I think they've got better. So you learn on the job, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I mean, I studied film, and I would say I learned very little about making films from studying film academically at university and college. What I did learn from that was just probably being more open-minded about what was out there and being introduced to some stuff that I wouldn't normally have found. But in terms of how to make films, you just got to make them. And don't let anything stop you. So you can't afford a camera, use your phone.
Yeah,
use anything you can. And we can't record live sound, don't worry, just post dub it. Just buy a Tascam recorder for 30 quid and post dub it. That's how I did my first 2 films. That's not shot on a phone, but shot on a camcorder with literally a Tascam, and post-dubbed everything. Like the first film I ever made, I post-dubbed all the male characters myself, and I had to put a voice on for all of them.
God.
So that's how bad we're talking. You know what I mean? But you've got to start somewhere, and you learn so much from that. You learn about sound work and mixing and all those kind of things. So yeah, you've just got to do it and get out there. And I think, as Todd suggested, getting out there and working on shorts and music videos and stuff, just starting to network with people, because you can't do this on your own. That's it. Unless you're an animator, you cannot really do this on your own. You've got to work with people. That people are going to be your best asset.
And if you're scared of doing that as well, a lot of people are shy. I was definitely shy when I was younger, and I didn't want to work with others. I just wanted to work with my mates. I'd seen films like, I went to college and watched films like Knocked Up and Superbad, and to me it looks like they were just loads of mates just making a film, and obviously it's not like that. And a lot of them are. And I thought, I'll just work with my mates. I don't want to meet new people and do this, but you just get involved and just network, because your confidence will start to grow and you'll start to learn. And then before you know it, you're in a position, you're just like, oh, wow, I'm actually making something. And it's a transition. It just happens.
Yeah,
and I have
absolutely.
to say from my own experience as well, not as a filmmaker, but as somebody who's just a lifelong fan of horror, who just set up an online account because I didn't know anyone in this area when I moved to speak to about something I was passionate about. I was really consuming so much of it as a genre, watching 2 to 3 features a day around work. And I was just like, I consume so much about it. I just want to talk to someone about it, and then had a platform for it. And then that fell into reviewing somebody's thing on YouTube, that director reached me out to a film festival, and then bang, 6 months later, you're effectively to the moon, and people know who I am, and I'm like, mind blown. So to speak to that, like on all levels, if you are passionate about something, then it absolutely, like, go for it. I'm kicking myself I didn't do it much earlier in life when I had an opportunity and different networks around me. But yeah, it's to echo your thoughts, it's absolutely a case of just put yourself out there and teach yourself. And a lot of it, as you say, is like when you were saying about the grading and everything, is look it up online. And like, I didn't know how to do half the stuff I'm doing now, and it's just trial by fire. If you look at some of my early stuff, it's awful, but like, you live and learn, right? And it's growth. And
100%.
Yeah, it's great.
Always learning. Yeah, and YouTube
Yeah.
University, as I call it, is
yeah.
incredible.
YouTube's my friend.
Yeah, it is. It is brilliant. You can find anything on there. If you don't know
Mm.
how to do it, have a look. If you don't want to go through the traditional educational route, there's courses online, or you can just follow some DPs or some producers or just filmmakers and just see what they're doing and just keep, you know, being in that bubble to kind of keep it going, keeping it alive.
Yeah, you don't need the most expensive gear and the biggest crew to make something, and if you don't have that stuff, don't let it stop you. You know what I mean, with how, yeah, absolutely, yeah, and with how like mobile phone technology is now, you could shoot something on your phone that you could grade to look halfway decent that would be releasable. Do you know what I mean? So don't let anything like that be a barrier. If if you want to do it, just do it. Yeah.
So then I just have one other question, unless you guys wanted to let us know about anything else that we haven't yet covered, because my question is a little bit left field. Is there anything else? I always catch people off guard with this one. So is there anything else you want to tell us about it, about the project, or where can people find Black Goat? Let's do that. Where can people find it?
So it's on Amazon Prime at the moment. It's also on Tubi. It's also on YouTube, some channels on YouTube, which are Kings of Horror. And you might have to help me out here, David.
Oh, what's the other one? I forgot.
We'll find it. I'll find some links and we'll throw them in.
It's definitely on at least two. Kings of Horror, I do remember explicitly.
Yeah, if you've got a Prime subscription, that's probably going to be the best version because it's not going to have any of the kind of censorship that some YouTube channels will enforce.
Yeah, I think all the YouTube versions are censored, aren't they? So the Prime version is uncut, and it's on, for any American viewers, it's on Amazon in America. I don't know what package it's built into in there, if it's just rent and buy. I think it might be, but it's on Amazon North America and it's Prime in the UK.
And you definitely want the unrated one because that sacrifice scene in the middle is, make sure you watch it because that's where the money went. The trading.
Yeah.
Great. So we've reached that point in the conversation and I'm going to have to ask, if you are to screen Black Goat with another feature of your choice for a double feature in your local cinema, what would you pick? And that would be something either to get to know you, something from your personal collection, or something you think that would work thematically with this feature.
Great question.
That's a really good question.
This is that thing where someone says, "Oh, what's your top 5 favorite films?" And I would say, "There's 500 films in my top 5." So strap in. Yeah. I think I would definitely want to go for something thematic that would vibe with it. So definitely something on that folk horror kind of vibe. So it's a really good question. Do you go American or English or there's a lot of Indonesian stuff coming out that's folk horror as well. There's so much. Yeah,
it's a tough one. You don't want to show too good a film that's going to make our film look bad.
I think for me, I'd probably, and to go thematically and pick something that really captures, I think, the English countryside that would fit well with this, I would probably say Blood on Satan's Claw.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
I think that would sit quite nicely. If I was just going to be crazy and just freak the audience out, Nightmares and Damaged Brain. Just stick that on first.
Oh, we're going to send them home like that. Okay. So you have to put on Black Goat first, right? Because you send them home happy, or do you want them crying? Because that will do it.
Yeah. Depending which
one on my list.
Nightmares and Damaged Brain's an experience. It's one of the most unsung slash movies of the 80s. It's absolutely vicious. It's great. Brutal,
but it's wonderful. You have to be in the right frame of mind. It's not a throw it on and watch with grandma kind of film. You can sit this one out. You're fine, Nan. You're good.
Yeah, I think to do the film thematic, both films thematic justice, Blood on Satan's Claw would probably be the because that's got that nice balance of like the cult stuff, the supernatural stuff, the British countryside.
It's one you don't hear about very often as well. It's a great choice.
It doesn't get enough love, I don't think. That film. Yeah.
For yourself, Todd?
I wouldn't think my knowledge is nowhere near as good as David's. Just going on the Japanese theme and one of my favorite films, I would have to say Battle Royale. It wouldn't pair up very well, but I just love that film.
I love
That's a
that
great
film.
movie. Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
God, it's so good.
Yeah, it's incredible.
So good. And do you
Yeah.
know what? I'm not even mad at the second one. I love it personally.
Yeah.
Oh,
I know
Requiem.
there's a lot of hatred for the second for
Yeah, it's one of the I don't love it, but I didn't hate it. When I watched it, I thought, what is the backlash on this movie? Like it's very epic, isn't it? The second one, it's got a different
Really, I
vibe.
think it's almost worse having someone chain to you and then you see them going, then you know your collar's going. You're like, no, I'm not okay with that. My survival depends on this idiot. No thanks. No, that's more brutal. But I love all of those kind of era. We're back to Tartanasia. Oh, so good.
Yeah, it was like A New World when all that stuff came out, wasn't it? In late 90s, early 2000s, films like Audition and stuff like that started to appear.
Yes, and
then
Takashi Miike touches is gold in my eyes.
He's an incredible and diverse filmmaker. It made like a dozen films in a year. One was a musical, 3 horror films.
Happiness of the Categories.
Yeah,
my favorite
crazy
film in the genre.
Is it really?
It's The Sound of Music meets Evil Dead. And
it totally is.
I will bleat about this till the big cows come home. I'm obsessed with this film. It's
crazy.
And somebody needs to make a stage show of it already because it just leans so wonderfully into theatre.
I'm surprised no one's touched on that. That's
someone needs to. And if they do, you're welcome. I know they're all Thor the musical is a independent thing that's just come out, and Paranormal Activity is now a thing. And God, somebody needs to do Happiness of the Categories already. Sorry, I'll get off my.
The Taunton wave for the Asia stuff was incredible, but I think there's a second resurgence of that now in the UK, which is because you got 88 films who are putting out some of the craziest Category 3 movies that 10 years ago I would have said these would never be released in the UK ever. Like films like The Untold Story, and like it's available and it's uncut, and like Evil Dead Trap and movies like that.
And even the guinea pig stuff.
Yeah,
I mean, I've just seen the newer guinea pig. Unnamed Festival.
Which
Slaughter of the
one's
Swine?
That what's the new one called?
It's Slaughter of the Swine.
What's it like? I love these new ones. I'm really into it. So I'm so intrigued.
I loved it so much. It's one of those that, as you would expect, I obviously I do my reviews and I show snippets. Could not find any footage I could actually use. Nothing at all. And if that doesn't,
that's quite promising.
It's wonderful.
I love that franchise.
I had a director friend who was watching it as part of the coverage because his film was showing at the festival. And he messaged me and he was like, "What are you watching last?" And I was like, "Well, Frogman Returns," because I love the original Frogman.
Oh yeah.
I love the director. I think he's really cool with what he does as a British filmmaker as well. It's great. And found footage is my jam, so that's why I wanted to go on that festival. But then I was like, American Guinea Pig, because I remember the Japanese ones in that franchise being absolutely insane, and to see an American take it on, and knowing the lineage that Stephen Byrer and Eric Fox have, I was like, this is a partnership made in heaven, let's go. And he watched it before me and he said, do not eat during this film. So of course I'm sat there, full takeout, got a photo, snapped it, I'm ready, and sat there absolutely fine. It's brutal, it's visceral, but it's absolutely
Is it like in the vein of like a found FBI tape?
So they played on the original that Charlie Sheen reported to the FBI of all people, because he thought it was real. He thought it was a real snuff, and he on his his moment, shall we say, decided to report it, and they played on that very well. So it was like an 80s leaked Illuminati FBI leaked footage.
That sounds incredible. Did you see the first one of the American Wave, Bouquet of Guts and Gore? That's outrageous. That's one I borrowed to you, Todd. It's just got all those crazy visual effects, like the eyeball slitting and all that crazy stuff. I think that film probably has the best practical effects I'm probably ever seen. Like, wow. It's incredible. It's just, and paired with that video and Super 8 footage into cut, it's just demented. It's so gnarly.
It kind of so that line. It kind of takes that line though, doesn't it? Because you really do have to sit there and go, okay, so where is the edit? How real is this? Because there are things like Lucky Lou, if you've ever seen Lucky Lou, and it's intense voyeurism, but it's independent, and it's a guy who stalks women, but it's all handheld camera, and he follows them through the house, but then he gets copies of their keys and he lets himself into the house, and he's watching them shower, he's watching them do their everyday thing, and then just leaves, comes back and leaves, and then impulsively just goes back on the third, fourth attempt and kills them. And then the whole film is based on like 4 or 5 kills. And then he releases the footage online and submits it to a film festival. So he gets notoriety, and they're like, is this a filmmaker? Is this a real killer? And then they realize it's a real killer. And the second one just did unnamed, and it's him doing the same thing, but believing his own hype because he's in the same area, believing all the news reports. And then he stalks a filmmaker who's showing at the same film festival that his stuff is doing. And it's so invasive because it feels real. But then you're like, oh, but I don't know how comfortable I am with this, because it is just him wandering into people's homes, and you go, oh, he just picks up something and he goes, yeah, no, that's okay. And he'll walk past someone's cat and he'll just throw a biscuit down for the cat, and you think the cat's gonna go, it's a horror film. The cat's
Yeah.
fine.
I wonder if it was inspired by the Luca Magnotta true crime case, but that sounds really interesting.
They are well looking out for it. I can't remember where I found the first one, because I hadn't seen the first one until I got the screener for the second. But that is something else. It's it sounds right up your street, actually, if you're into that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it sounds crazy.
Yeah, I can send you some recommendations. We could go on for hours. But that's wonderful. Well, thank you both again for your time. Thanks for discussing everything Black Goat. I will be sure to drop all of your social channels in the comments and descriptions, as well as links to where to find the feature. Everyone watching, please do give Todd and David a follow, as well as the Black Goat Film account for everything coming up and future projects. And I really appreciate your time speaking with me today. It's been great.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah, it's been fun.